Hey everybody, welcome back to Hot News. I missed you on the holiday break that I took. We were off for a few days, but we're back now, and I know that you guys super appreciate that. So let's talk about today's sponsor, and then let's talk about hot news. So for the sponsor today, we've got MSI's P65 Creator Notebook. My friends, I've shown this one off before in previous videos, but my friends, look at it. It's just so freaking gorgeous. It's sleek, it's sexy, it's powerful with up to an i7-8750H processor and up to a 1060 graphics card to manhandle all of those video games you got for Christmas and to take care of any content creation you want to do. Oh, and if you're worried about it getting hot, it has the Cooler Boost Trinity system to keep all of those components cool. It has an IPS level display, close to 100% sRGB coverage, and up to an 8+ hour battery life. So my friends, if you're looking for a brand new notebook with any money that you got for the holidays, I highly recommend that you check out the P65 Creator. We'll leave a link for that in the video description. And with that being said, thank you MSI for sponsoring this video, and let's jump into the hot news because we got a hot diddly to talk about today. So we talked a bit about the 1060 in the last video that we put out before the build one, about how it seemed like Nvidia is trying to push the 1060 down our throats. And while it looks like the 1060 is here to stay, guess what else is here to stay? 6 versions of the RTX 2060. Yes, my friends, apparently Gigabyte has filed EEC entries, which is the Eurasian Economic Commission. They filed 40 different RTX 2060 graphics cards with the EEC, which is insane. Amongst those 40 different types, it boils down to 6 main varieties. As you can see here, we're anticipating that they're gonna have an RTX 2060 6GB GDDR6, an RTX 2060 GDDR5, an RTX 2060 4GB with GDDR6, and then another with GDDR5, and then a 3GB, and then a 3GB with GDDR5. Why? And if you wanted a list of all of the 2060s that it looks like Gigabyte has registered, here you freaking go. Look at this, 2060 6GB. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And that's between the GDDR6 and GDDR5 varieties. This is insane. This is crazy. Why does this need to happen? I'm not quite sure. There's a lot of rumors floating out right now about what's happening with the 20 series or even 11 series, but we'll discuss that in a later video. It seems like Nvidia is just trying to hit all of the marks with a whole bunch of different things, and we have no idea what's going on. With the fact that it looks like we're gonna be getting 4GB and 3GB versions of the 2060, it looks like that they probably won't even have the same CUDA core count or the same memory bit interface, so that it's actually going to be slower cards overall, and it's going to be the RTX 2060 6GB GDDR6 that's going to replace the 1070, whereas the 4GB with GDDR5 is going to be mostly in between a 1060 and a 1070, and then the 3GB GDDR5 would be less than a 1070, less than a 10, like it might even just be a 1060 at that point with how low they would go on this. And in case you don't remember, Nvidia did do this with the GTX 1060. Not only do we have the normal one, which is the GTX 1060 6GB, but then there's the 3GB, which has less CUDA cores. It is a slower card overall. Obviously, none of this is confirmed at this point. We're just seeing all of these filings from Gigabyte. This is pretty dang convincing, if you ask me, that something weird is going on because they filed 40 different names with the EEC, which is a whole heck of a lot of cards. It could be that they're just doing this just in case, but it also could be that we're actually going to get this wide variety from Nvidia in an attempt for them to bring us something that nobody's really asking for, which is a more expensive 1070 with ray tracing stuff that can't even ray trace and less memory than should be existing in 2018. Like, who freaking wants a 3GB card in 2018? Most games, even at 1080p, take at least 3 gigs of memory. There's a lot to parse through here. It kind of seems like Nvidia's losing the rails if this is actually what they're going to be releasing. It could be that this, again, is just filings and nothing more than that. But let's just wait. We have about a week and a half until CES kicks off, and that's when we're expecting Nvidia to launch all of this stuff, so we can check back when that happens. But let's talk about something cool for anybody who's still on the 10 series, if you happen to get one for the holidays, or if you've just been on one for a while. The OC scanner tool for Pascal is now officially out with MSI Afterburner, so if you want something that can do an auto overclock on your 10 series, the OC scanner does it for you. It tests it based on frequency over voltage, and it'll give you a decent overclock on your cards. The OC scanner tool was available for 10 series if you had an EVGA card and did EVGA Precision, and they did it for you, but now it looks like it's coming out to one of the most popular overclocking tools, which is MSI Afterburner. So that's nice. That was a nice Christmas little update that Nvidia brought to everybody who has an older card that's now obsolete. Get a new 20 series, guys. Why are you sticking with the old ones? How much of your life do you not want ray traced? Speaking of, buy this ray trace sweater. There's a 10% coupon code, just works. JUSTWORKS, just works. Get the coupon code, buy the sweater. And then speaking of more Nvidia news, they unveiled mesh shading, which is a brand new technology that they're doing to allow for a lot more shaders to take place in an environment where they normally wouldn't be able to. This is different than the adaptive shading that they've already brought out, which is in Wolfenstein. The mesh shading techniques allows them to compromise detail where they actually don't need to have it, and then give more detail where they do need to have it, thereby reducing the overall strain on GPUs. It's kind of cool technology. We'll see if it comes out to any new games in the near future. Then, speaking of things that don't need to exist, 4 new models of Intel CPUs. I'm just kidding, these are totally fine. It looks like the complaints of Intel CPUs being way too gosh dang hot is something that they're taking to heart, because they're removing the iGPUs from a few of the new Coffee Lake refresh chips and calling them the KF series of CPUs. So you have the 9900KF, 9700KF, the 9600KF, which seem to be exactly identical to the Intel CPUs that are currently out, except for their have no iGPU, so hopefully more space to dissipate all of that heat, and makes it so that they might run just a little bit cooler. Hopefully, because they're a blazing inferno. And then more Intel news, it appears that they are going to be opening up a brand new fabrication facility in Arizona in the near future. They had actually already done construction on Fab 42 in 2011 in Chandler, Arizona, and it was already finished, but they took it offline because there wasn't enough demand. But it looks like with Intel not being able to keep up with 14nm production, they actually need to bring this fab online, and it looks like that this should happen sometime in 2019, 2020, so we should be getting more development from Intel, and that they're going to be bringing new fabs to Oregon, Ireland, and Israel, with construction taking place in the coming year. Speaking of construction, the Witcher TV series is done being under construction, and Netflix is apparently very pleased with it. So, according to a little leaker on the internet, he says that Netflix has been pleased with the initial results of The Witcher, and it looks like they might even renew it for a second season before the first season even comes out. What this means for me is not a whole heck of a lot. I'm still super skeptical of Superman being Geralt. We'll see where this goes. I want to know your thoughts. Are you anticipating that this is going to be good? People say Henry Cavill's a good actor. I'm just not buying it right now until I see the final product, because Netflix has messed up a lot of adaptations before. Then, in case you want to eat like your favorite video game characters, Bethesda has announced the Elder Scrolls official cookbook with recipes from Skyrim, Morrowind, and across Tamriel. So yeah, get eating like those people. It's $17 in Amazon, and it's about £25 in UK, and it's going to be releasing on March 26th. So in case you're interested, there you go. Speaking of other things that are cool and coming soon, apparently it looks like we should be getting 120 Hz OLED monitors in the coming future. It looks like Asus might be taking the way on that one. This is a pretty big development because OLEDs at this point have really not been able to hit the high refresh rates, but now we should be able to get the good contrast ratio, the deep blacks, as well as the good gaming capabilities of 120 Hz sometime in 2019. I'm excited for this. Hopefully you guys are too. This is gonna be freaking expensive, in case you are wondering. So this is gonna be the thing that you see at a trade show and you're just like, I wish I could have that, but I can't because I can't afford it. And even if I could afford it, I don't have the system to actually even power it. And so, yeah, priorities of being an adult. Speaking of things you can't afford and that are at trade shows, Inwin Z Tower Signature Edition chassis. We talked about this a couple weeks ago about how they are bringing this to market. I hypothesized that it might be around, $600. What an idiot I was, because they're bringing it to market for 5,499 euros. 5,499 euros. This thing that looks like a bone marrow transplant is gonna cost more than my entire car. Why? Good on you, Inwin. I'm sure it's heavy. I'm sure it makes sense that you're charging this much. But nah, Nah, fam. And then speaking of things that should have stayed in development, Final Fantasy VII Remake is apparently going smoothly according to the developers that are working on it right now. This is the millionth time that I've heard this, and I won't trust it until it's actually out. And I was talking to Reece earlier this morning, and I'm pretty sure what they're gonna do with the Final Fantasy VII Remake is just rebrand it like they did with Final Fantasy 15 and just be like, this is Final Fantasy 16 now. It's not tied to the original one in any way. We completely redid it. You're never getting the remake. Sorry. Goodbye, Final Fantasy Versus 13. And then speaking of video game news, there was a video that circulated on the internet a while ago showing the different map sizes in video games. Well, it's been updated to include some of the latest additions like Spider-Man and Red Dead Redemption 2 and Horizon Zero Dawn, so you can actually see the map scale in each of these games. It's quite insane because Breath of the Wild, The Legend of Zelda, I've reversed that order, is close to Red Dead Redemption 2 in map size. That's pretty big. Those are big maps. So check out this video in case you're interested. It's kind of cool. It's only about 90 seconds of your life, which I've already taken up more of. So let's move on into the next thing, which is Halo Infinite's engine is built to treat PC as first-class full citizens, which is nice, good, cool. I don't know. I don't care about Halo. I never had an Xbox growing up. This doesn't really interest me. Obviously, it's always good when a video game does prioritize PC and not just like a crappy port that comes out, and hopefully it comes out at the same time and not just like 18 months later like we've been having with other video games. But I don't care about Halo, sorry. Elder Scrolls and Halo, not on my list of things to care about today. Speaking of video games nobody cares about, I don't know, that's might be insensitive. Mortal Kombat 11 has now had their PC specs announced. Obviously, we got the trailer at the Game Awards, and now we have the specs. It looks like you don't need too much to run it. The recommended specs is only a 1060 or an RX 570. That's recommended. Lowest specs is a 1050 or an i9 270. You should be able to manage that. And then to celebrate AMD just a little bit, we talked about Nvidia, we talked about Intel. Well, it appears that AMD has joined Nvidia in the NASDAQ-100 index, finally reaching the top 100 companies traded on the NASDAQ platform in terms of market cap. What this means is not a whole heck of a lot, except for the fact that it looks like Lisa Su has done a pretty good job of reviving AMD over the past few years since she took over in 2014, basically bringing the stock from like $1 up to the $17 that it is right now. And we'll see what they have to unveil for us at CES, which we can talk about in a later video. Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the chart right here, they were in a terrible low when Lisa Su took over in 2014. It got a little bit worse because you gotta spend money to make money, and now they peaked at an all-time high back in earlier this year, but then obviously with the stock crashes that were happening with the NASDAQ, it's a little lower, but right now they're doing pretty well. Good job, AMD. And that's gonna wrap up what I have for you for hot news today. Don't forget to let me know what was your favorite story down in the comments down below. If you have anything that you want us to cover in the next edition of Hot News, be sure to share it down there as well. Don't forget that today's video is brought to you by the MSI P65 Creator Notebook. Check that out at the link in the video description. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Get subscribed. Just please, we need more subscribers. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech Channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see your smiling faces again in the next video. Love you too.